Hi, this is Darren with HNEN. We're here at the Washington Cannabis Summit in Seattle, Washington. I'm sitting here with the executive director for Seattle Hempfest, Vivian McPeak. Vivian, how's it going this afternoon?
Good, Darren. How are you?
I'm doing great. That was a summit.
Yes.
You know, I was very impressed with the education level of everyone that was there. Your keynote was phenomenal, was amazing. I think I had to get a dictionary out at some point to understand some of the words you were using there. But can you tell us a little bit about your involvement with the Washington Cannabis Summit and how you got here?
Yeah, we've been working for many years here with Seattle Hempfest. It's our 24th year this year, working to reform Washington State and then ultimately America's cannabis laws. Now we're starting to see that's starting to happen, but there's so much to work out as we make the transition from a black market to a gray market to a white market, and take this from the nefarious black market commodity to the standard regular commodity market that we're looking at. And as we do that, there's just a lot of new emerging marketing plans and business ideas and approaches. There's a lot of zoning issues and tax structures and best practices to work out. It's a new emerging nascent industry like almost none other that we've ever seen. So this commission is a lot of different organizations representing a lot of different trade industry groups and some community groups and some advocacy organizations all coming together and coalescing to say, hey, let's chart this out together. Let's find out what our common questions are, our common aspirations, and our common goals. And we're hammering it out. And I was really impressed by the panels today. It was one of the more engaging events this kind I've ever been to. And I've been to many over a long time, but I don't think we ever had so much at stake, and we've never had such an exciting time of change and opportunity.
You've been working with Seattle Hempfest for 24 years. Is that? I'm sure there was some advocacy. You were involved somewhere before that. In a really short, I know you have so much to say. You're so educated on the subject. So, in the gist of it, what would be the number one reason why you think it's important to legalize cannabis?
Oh, well, first of all, because I think it's a human right and a civil rights issue. America has the largest prison state of any country in the history of the world. We have more Americans in jail per capita than any country in the world. We call ourselves the land of the free. And so I think the most important thing about legalizing cannabis is basically understanding that if America is based on freedom, then cannabis is as Americans' mom's apple pie. But outside of that, there's the environmental, the economic, the industrial, the recreational, the medicinal, the spiritual, and all the cultural possibilities that this amazingly multifaceted plant offers. And so I think really taking the plant back from the government, giving it back to the people is what it's all about.
And I'm sure with your involvement of mentioning all those different industries and aspects that cannabis can play in, if you could focus on, again, you've been involved with it for so many years, how has it impacted, how has cannabis made an effect on your life? How has it impacted your life?
Sure. Well, in my life, cannabis has given me a direction, a cause, a community, a job, a platform, and basically cannabis has defined my life in ways I never thought possible. It's brought me in contact with thousands of amazing, resourceful, rugged individualist type souls, and as a medical marijuana patient has relieved pain and suffering and anxiety many times, and probably will do it again tonight.
And hearing some of the speakers tonight, actually the keynote, the final speaker tonight, talking about how cannabis is not just a Washington State thing, it's not a Colorado thing, it's not just a United States thing, it's actually being looked at to be legalized in several countries around the world. As a world thing, if you could tell the governments of the world one mission statement, one main thing to focus on with cannabis, what would that be to those governments? What would you say?
I would quote a famous reggae musician and say that cannabis is the healing of the nations.
Awesome. And as this does get legalized, as countries do legalize it, and it starts to integrate itself into society, parents, it's going to fall on the responsibility of parents to educate their kids. What message would you say to help those parents educate the next generations of children that are going to be growing up with this as a legalized product whereas in our generation it was an illegal or a don't ask, don't tell kind of product.
Well, I would say, first of all, that cannabis is not a good thing or a bad thing. It's a plant, and if it's used responsibly, it can yield positive results. If it's used irresponsibly or unwisely, it can yield negative results like anything else. That's a moral imperative that people have to use to approach everything in life. And I would basically say that if you want your children to not have access to marijuana until they're older, until they're grown up, until they're emotionally, physically, and mentally developed, then legalize it, because that's what's going to get it out of the alleys and schoolyards and put it in stores and make people ID for it and all those other things. I think that the single most important aspect of legalization that the reform movement needs to take seriously is children, because they do matter. They might be 20% of our community, but they're 100% of our future. And I don't think children should smoke pot. I don't think anybody in the reform movement with any credibility believes that. And for a lot of us, that's why we want to legalize it.
Absolutely. And being here with what we would say the industry professionals at today's summit, being an activist and being in control of one of the largest protestables in the world, working so closely with it. After being here at the Washington State Cannabis Summit, the first ever, what would you like to see the takeaway come after this summit, for the next summit comes, or maybe years down the line of this group of people coming together as a whole? What would be the takeaway you want to see happen?
Sure. Well, we went through a very messy and complicated election season with I-502 that really splintered the marijuana reform community, the cannabis community in Western Washington, and Washington State. Just splintered us. And there was a lot of vitriol, a lot of denigration, a lot of infighting and stuff. And today shows that we're moving beyond that we've been growing beyond that. And some of the people that kind of thrive off that thing, I think, have less bandwidth than they did 2-3 years ago when this was all going on. So I'd like to see the takeaway that we are much stronger when we're unified. We're not always going to agree over everything, but we can disagree in harmony. There is such a thing as disagreeing on the fine points, but finding what your common values are. And that'd be my takeaway.
Awesome. So where can people find out more information about what you have going on and what you guys are doing?
Hempfest.org. HNEN.org.
There you go. Well, Vivian, is there anything you'd like to say before we let you get back to going to the fabulous dinner going on tonight?
Yeah, I'd just like to say how excited I am to be in this amazing news network. I've been watching you guys for a long time.
Well, thank you very much, Vivian. We enjoy having you on the show. It's always a pleasure. We'll be talking to you in the future. I know that. It's a fact.
All right, it's good working with you, man.
Not a problem. Don't forget to go to our website, like the man said, hempfest.org. Check out HNEN and all the segments we have coming up, how to become a volunteer, how to join and get involved with the cannabis community. This is Darren and Vivian McPeak. Excuse me for that, Vivian. Coming to you from the Washington State Cannabis Summit in Seattle, Washington. We'll be right back.